Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CampaignHer podcast. I'm your host, and that one scene from Twilight New Moon where Bella sits comatose in a chair while the world just spins around her, Ally Pippin. Friends, have you ever gotten revenge? Like actual revenge. Slow burns, elaborate escape plots, sneaky ploys, setups, random, ransom, blackmail. If you have, can you please send me a DM with the best way you've ever served up revenge? Because I've just been thinking about this question all day. I was thinking about it a lot earlier today, and I realized that the last time that I ever got like good quality revenge on someone was probably when I was in preschool, which of course I still remember the story. So I went to preschool at a place called CampaignHer, which was like a little red roofed school. I think it's a chain because I feel like when we had Maisie and we started putting her in daycare, we looked at KinderCare and it was like way too expensive for us at the time. But I went to a KinderCare in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. There were power lines over our swing set. I remember that. Nice place. But I remember that there was this kid in my preschool class at KinderCare that had a rat tail. Okay, a rat tail. And if you don't know what a rat tail is, it's like where boys have normal haircuts, but then right at the nape of their neck, they have like a tiny little braid. It's disgusting, and I hate them. And this kid with the rat tail was like a snub-nosed little shit. He was mean. And he had this rat tail, and I remember now, I don't know if I remember, because, God, it's been so long, but when I close my eyes now and I picture the rat tail kid from my preschool, I feel like he had a leather jacket on and, like, men's biker shorts and a toothpick in his mouth, maybe. Like real George Michael vibes. But like that can't be real. That can't be real, can it? Anyway, when I was little, I had this blanket that went everywhere with me. We called it Nine-Eye, and I remember going down the slide on the playground at KinderCare with Nine-Eye trailing behind me, like Linus, and Snoopy, and this little leather jacket wearing kid was like, "Hey, yous guys, my time on the slide." That was him right there. That voice. Nailed it. Anyway, he was impatient with me. I remember that. So he stepped on the part of my Nine-Eye that hadn't made it down the slide yet with his giddy Doc Martens. And I was holding the other side of Nine-Eye, and because he was stomping on it and I was holding on it so tightly, Nine-Eye got a huge rip in it. And I cried, and he laughed maniacally, flipping his rat tail over his shoulder when I got, when I got upset. And when I got home, because my Nana had this huge rip in it, my dad ended up having to cut it into smaller pieces. So I wouldn't be able to lug this long blanket down the slide anymore. And it was devastating to me. Now the pieces of my blankie, my childhood blankie that I still have, because I'm an adult woman and I will throw away things when I feel good and ready. But the pieces of it that I have look so teeny, teeny, tiny. So anyway, the whole thing devastated me. It shook me to my core. And so the next day at preschool, this kid was all smug about what he did. He was walking around in his chains and his leather and his sunglasses probably, and just laughing about my little Nine-Eye. And I remember thinking I needed to end him. I needed to take what he loved most and cut it into tiny pieces and then point and laugh at him. Because how dare he? And then he sat in front of me, fade aligned. He sat in front of me at our little desks, and I saw that stupid rat tail, and he flicked it onto my desk. It was glistening in the sun, moist and shiny with a little grease from the chicken nuggets we had for lunch, and just tied on the end with a little rubber band. And I looked at my hand, which just happened at that very moment, that he flicked his rat tail onto my desk to have little safety scissors in it. Rounded tip little beauties that you couldn't stab anyone with, but you could cut hair if you needed. And I reached up and I grabbed his rat tail and I thought of all the wrongs that he committed against me, and I started cutting, and I cut that sucker in half and I twirled it over my head like a lasso, and I said, "How do you like them apples, you hefty trash bag full of mashed potatoes?" And then I threw the bottom end with the rubber band over his shoulder, and he cradled it in his hands like it was a dying animal. And I said, "Victory! Victory for me! Victory for Nine-Eye! Victory for Aslan and for Narnia!" And he cried like a little bitch. And what did I get? I get a call home. I get a timeout. A high five. I don't remember. This was at least 26 years ago. And maybe it didn't happen. Maybe just something created in my delusion that I've thought I've remembered for the last 25 fucking years. But I bet I got a fucking parade. I bet I got a parade for serving that revenge ice cold. And maybe like no scissor privileges? Don't remember, don't care. This is fact now. Tell me your revenge stories, because we're talking more today about anger and a better way to deal with it. So we'll be right back right after this. Stick around. Welcome back to the CampaignHer podcast. So a few years ago, I established a nightly ritual for those days that went really, really south. You know, like days that I'd come home really angry, you know, or I was just frustrated about things. And on those days, I would come home from work after like a long day where my job typically involves interacting with some of the internet's worst people. Smile. I'd kiss my husband. I'd kiss my kids. And I'd just slowly walk into my bedroom, grab a pillow off my bed, and scream into it. And I'd always grab the same pillow. I'd always scream until my voice was like hoarse. And sometimes I'd like punch the bed a couple times. Just give it the old 1-2. And then I'd get up and I'd walk away as if nothing had ever happened. And throughout the day, like I used to let the anger just build inside of me until I could taste it. You know, like I could just feel it gurgling in my mouth. And this tiny little 2-minute ritual on my angry days was really all I had to look forward to keep me from losing my cool in the office or with my family. And it was my darkest secret that I, Ally Pippin, certified cool cat, was secretly an angry bitch. And then one day, my husband, Justin, and I were making the bed, and he picked up my anger pillow by its corner, like it was a dirty diaper, and he said, "What happened to this thing?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Figuring like my darling, precious children had turned my precious Target throw pillow on my bed into like an extension of their artistic abilities. But he turned the pillow over towards me, and I immediately gulped, because there, right smack dab in the middle of this navy and white chevron pattern, were 4 noticeable spots: 2 eyes, a nose, and an open mouth. The transferred face of an angry bitch who forgot to take her makeup off before screaming her contained anger into the fabric. And I like tried to play it off. I like shrugged. I was like, let's move on. I must have fallen asleep on it. And Justin didn't let up. He was like, seriously, Ally, like either you're making out with this thing or Voldemort is coming out of it. And I seriously considered admitting to like practicing kissing on it. That's the funny thing about hiding your anger. You don't realize how much it deteriorates you when it's like burning inside of you, like festering. You don't see the physical damage it's doing to your psyche. But there was my damage right there on the makeup stain, Voldemort-looking rage face imprinted on the pillow. There has to be a better way for us as women to express our anger. But as women, we're constantly stuck walking the boundaries of our own institutionalized sexism, right? Like if I tell off a coworker for something shitty they did, no matter how professionally I might do it, I run the risk of being called erratic, or that I'm throwing a fit, or I'm being overdramatic, right? If I yell at my husband because he's not listening to me when I was trying to talk to him, he'll roll his eyes and say, "You need to calm down," which is like, oh my God, why didn't I think about that? Calming down. Hot damn. Thank you. Thank you for this wisdom. I was calm when I was talking to you, but you weren't listening. But yeah, thank you for calming down, getting me to calm down, Justin. Thank you. Listen, it's totally okay to be angry. We live in a society and political climate that can throw even the most mild-mannered lady into a raging feminasty on a mission to burn the patriarchy to the ground after just 3 scrolls of her Twitter feed. But if you find that your anger is like monopolizing your life, keeping you from enjoying your passions and destroying your beautiful throw pillows, you need to take some action to establish some habits that'll calm that anger. So here are things that I do to contain that monster inside me that involves limited property damage. Number 1, put on music you can scream to. Music, to me, has long been a source of emotional release. Like I have dedicated playlists on my phone for when I need a good cry, when I need to get like pumped up, when I need to get work done, and most popular, when I need to scream my anger into the void. Here's the thing about having music that you enjoy listening to. After like a few tracks on my anger playlist, which I'll admit is 90% emo, punk, and variations of ska music, because I know what I'm about, I find myself not angry anymore. I'm taking in those sweet-ass horn riffs. I'm rolling down my windows and I'm shouting at passing cars, "Ska's not dead." And I know what you're thinking, angry music. But Ally, it's all Kenny Loggins and sweet, smooth jazz on this end. And sure, okay, then you can borrow mine. You should check out the album called Somewhere in the Between by Streetlight Manifesto. It is the absolute best album for me for getting out all the shouting related to my feminine rage. And it has been by my side for the last almost 15 years. It has never led me astray. And it doesn't have to be music either, okay? If dealing with your anger involves you reading your favorite book over and over and over again, do it. If it means pouring yourself a tall glass of wine in one of those like novelty wine glasses that fits a whole bottle, you know, and it like has a cute saying on it that's like, "I'll only have one glass." Okay, pouring yourself that big old glass and watching House Hunters and just yelling at this artisanal cheesemaker and his wife who does Pilates for a living, you know, who don't understand that they can't change paint colors in the house they're trying to buy. Do it. Find that resource you have to like express some anger and just help bring you from like a roaring fire of rage to just a tiny little ember burning on a pile of ash. Number 2, invest in ways to relax. And this means putting aside actual dollars or scheduling actual time to give you whatever you need to be more zen. Massages, mani-pedis, cashmere coats, a day at the spa, fancy bath bombs from Lush. I don't care. We are women, which means we will always feel guilty about spending money on ourselves before we spend it on somebody else. But you need to make a personal promise that you will give as much to yourself as you give of yourself. And if that means setting aside money each week to go full relaxation, or to promise yourself that you'll leave work early one day a week to just sit in Starbucks and like wear a beret and sip a PSL and, I don't know, write your novel. Make sure that that time is always taken and don't break that promise to yourself. The best care, honey, is self-care, okay? You can't take care of all the shit you've got on your plate being like the badass boss bitch you are if you don't take care of you. Number 3, speak up. Speak up. Sometimes the absolute hardest thing in the world to do is to let the people that you care about know that they're making you angry. And I know I struggle with this a lot because I hate conflict. I hate it. And I want everyone to like me. And so in this age of like texting and tweeting, though, I find that I get angrier about written communication than if I had just spoken and said what I need to say over the phone, right? And I'll like read a message from people that I know care about me, that I care about, and just like instantly get angry. Like I read way too much into it. And then I let that anger just like fester inside of me rather than just being like, "What do you mean by that?" You know, and saying my piece. So like case in point, I remember this distinctly. A few years ago, it was like just before Parker's birthday. I think it was before her 3rd birthday. So yeah, 2 years ago, I texted my mom with like the date of her birthday party. And at that time, my parents were understandably busy prepping for their retirement. They were trying to sell their house. You know, they were trying to like figure out where they were going to move to, all this stuff. But since they didn't make it out for her 2nd birthday the year before, like I really wanted to make sure that they had the date of her party just in case they could make it, right? And I remember like as soon as I gave them the date, my mom replied back and was like, "Hey, I don't think it's in the cards." You know, see all the reasons that I just said, right? That they're retiring, they're trying to move. My mom was trying to figure out where she's going to go next for work. And my mom by nature, and I think it's a generational thing, is just a short texter. Like she'll just be like, "Nope, not going to work," you know. But me being the overdramatic ass that I am, I fill out and fill in all the space around her messages with my own assumptions. And it's always in these assumptions that like my anger latches on and it starts to infect me. So like when she sent this message of like, "Hey, it's not going to work out, you know, we're sorry," I started thinking like, well, why doesn't she want to come? It's her granddaughter's birthday and they didn't come last year, but they went to like the first 3 parties for Maisie, my oldest. Like I can't believe they're not making the time this year to come, especially since they didn't go last year. Like they came to my other daughter's parties. I know that they'll all go to all of my sister's kids' parties. And like, let me stop right here. And I'm sorry that my erratic mind brought you into this, Jenny. You're doing a great job. But they also, like, they must not like this daughter of mine. They must not like me. Like, why don't they like me? I'm so desperate for their approval. I work so hard for these things for my kids, and they can't make the freaking time to come. Like, you see how this goes. It's a spiral of anxiety and anger and intrusive thoughts. And this is how anger works. Despite having completely legitimate reasons for my family not to be able to drive from Louisiana at the time to Florida for a 3-year-old's birthday party, I was furious. But then I had like a moment of clarity. And I realized that, like, my parents had obligations to these things in their life, right? Yes. But I don't get to be angry about them not caring about things I care about if I don't even tell them that they're important to me, right? Like, let me put it this way, okay? Let's say that I won an award at work because I'm just excellent at all things that I do, okay? And I won an award. And as part of winning this award, I got to like attend a cool like networking cocktail hour with my like C-suite executives after work. And let's also say that the night of this cocktail hour happened to be the date of my husband's like long-standing game night with his friends. If I go home and I say, hey, we were invited to this thing after work tomorrow, do you want to go? And he says, well, that's the date of my game night, like, and we're hosting. And my response is just, oh, okay. And then I go into my room and I scream into a pillow because how dare my husband care more about his buddies than this award that I got. I'm only torturing myself, right? Like, and in this scenario, I didn't even tell my husband that I won an award. I didn't even tell him this was important to me, regardless of how casual the moment was. And it's not fair or healthy for me to harbor that anger when my husband is 2 feet away and we can have an adult conversation about it. And I can say, hey, this thing after work is because I won an award and it's important to me and we should make the time to go. Going back from this hypothetical situation to 2 years ago and this conversation on text with my mom, after I calmed down and I realized, hey, I didn't even tell her that this is important to me. You know, I don't get to say that she doesn't care if I don't tell her that it's important, right? I sent her another message and I was like, in that message, I remember acknowledging that they were busy, that this was a really new transitional stage in their lives, and that if they could find the time to be there for Parker's birthday, it would mean a lot to Parker and it would mean a lot to me. And almost immediately then, my mom reached back out and we scheduled a time for us all to be together before Parker's birthday, since they wouldn't be able to make the weekend of the party work. And it was a win-win-win all around, right? Like, I'd also like to stress, though, when it comes to speaking out, that there is a difference between reacting and overreacting. Okay, reacting, your reaction is acting in like a defensive impulse, like the immediate reaction that's emitted, that emotional response to whatever the situation is, okay? Overreacting is something people will say you're doing when they don't want to listen to your feelings, okay? It's also called gaslighting. If your go-to response, your go-to reaction to a situation is anger, and you let whoever or whatever has made you angry know that you're angry about it, and they respond by telling you that you're overreacting, then I want you to reply exactly as my girl Jen, played by the brilliant Christina Applegate, says in the Netflix original series Dead to Me, and say, this is my reaction, which means I'm reacting perfectly. Don't ever tell a woman she's overreacting. But also, if your initial reaction is anger, remember that that's an intense emotion, okay? And that intense emotion can cloud your judgment, and you should give yourself time to unpack before you take notice, right? Before you take action. Take whatever calm you can within your body. Sometimes you got to grab it from like your toes. I feel myself curling my toes to find some calm, right? Find whatever calm you can within your body and say, you just pissed me off. I need a minute before I can respond so I don't say or do something that I regret. And guys, if you want to scare them, like whisper it. Like nothing's scarier to a man, I think, than like whispering it. Just be like, you just pissed me off. You just fucking pissed me off. And I'm going to need a minute, damn it. Okay. I'm going to need a fucking minute. Okay. And then just walk away. Walk away. Think it over. And then return to the situation when you feel like you have processed your emotions well enough. And just speak up. I encourage you, be brave, speak up. Sometimes the absolute bravest thing, the thing that requires the most courage from us, is saying all the things that you've wanted to say. And sometimes that means saying, I don't think it's unfair to say that you hurt my feelings, and I'd like you to apologize to your parents whose affection you're desperate for, right? Not everything has to be a conflict. Get yourself to a point where you're not acting out of anger, okay? Think over what piece of information you may be leaving out and make sure that you say it. And now we're on to number 4. And I had to think about that for a minute because, guys, I don't remember what I was on. Number 4. Number 4, dealing with your anger, is write it out. One of the best ways that I unpack my anger and continue to unpack my anger is by just taking a moment when I'm really, really mad to write why I'm mad. And I'm a perfectionist, so I'll admit it's really hard for me to just write or type without correcting my spelling or revising as I type. So I use my laptop and I'll open like a Word document and I will zoom like all the way out until like the page is like the size of like a little Post-it on my screen because I have bad eyesight and I can't read when the letters are that little, right? And then I just let my angry lady fingers go to work and I write everything down that I'm mad about, things that I'm thinking about but don't want to say out loud, everything. And acknowledge that your bullshit meter is never going to be higher than when you're talking about yourself or to yourself. So don't let yourself say anything but how you actually really feel. And usually as I'm typing or I'm writing, I'm able to bring myself down to like a mild to moderate level of irritation where I can at least be rational again. And I can review what I wrote after I like correct the spelling, obviously. And when I do that and I read through what I typed or what I write, like I usually can then identify the root of my anger. Is it selfishness? Is it insignificance? Is it disrespect, loneliness, anxiety? It's always something. Like, for example, the other day I'm putting the girls to bed and my 4-year-old told me to my face, "I don't love you." "I don't love you," she said. A human child I literally pushed out of my lady bits, who gets all of my money, told her highly emotional mother, who, by the way, does nothing but smother her with love and kisses and snuggles and toys, that she doesn't love her. I was hurt, and then I was sad, and then I was mad. Okay, I was seeing red. When I went through this process of like writing out why I was mad and what was making me angry, like which was, I'm sure, the true rantings of a lunatic, I found that my husband's name, Justin, came up in my writing more than anything. And for some reason, I was mad at Justin. I wasn't mad at Parker. I was mad at Justin because he was home with them. How dare he be home with them and teach them to be so mean to me? Why is he so great that he gets to be the only one that they run to? Like, why does he get to be the stay-at-home parent and I'm the one that's going through an existential crisis trying to figure out how to work from home? And, yeah, Justin isn't the one who told me he didn't love me. Right? Let's be real here. He wasn't the one that told me he didn't love me. And I know he definitely is not the kind of person to throw tiny supervillain classes while I'm at work called "Your Mother Loves You and Here's How to Make Her Miserable." So I took this instance with my daughter and I made it about me and my own mom guilt. That maybe if I didn't work so much, she would spend more time with me and would never, ever, ever say those things to me. And I'm not even going to touch mommy guilt today, because that is its own freaking ball of hot wax. But writing this process of writing helped me realize the roots of my anger were my own feelings of inadequacy. And I wouldn't have gotten there without writing it all out. I would have placed the blame on somebody who didn't deserve it, aka my husband. Sorry, Jay. I do that a lot. And last but not least, number 5 is therapy. Ladies, gents, non-binary unicorn humans, check yourself before you wreck yourself, okay? If you are constantly angry, if you are gnashing your teeth and flying off the handle and finding your happiest is still a state of moderate irritation, if you're mad as hell, no matter what you do, and you can't unpack your anger, and you don't want to take it anymore, get some professional help. Okay, there's no shame in the therapy game. I have been doing therapy on and off since I was 15. My therapists have helped me with my anxiety and my depression, and they have talked me through my anger more than enough times to know that these are the tactics that work for me to calm myself down, right? And I'm not at all ashamed of the decisions that I've made to have someone to talk to, and you shouldn't be either. Look into your health insurance plan, see what your plan may cover, and book yourself a session. Ladies, I want to end it here. Have you or has anyone told you lately that your anger matters? Okay, your feelings are valid and they are valued and they're important and they make you into the perfect magical unicorn mermaid being that you are. But when those heavy emotions like sadness and anxiety and inadequacy and loneliness and especially anger, when those emotions get in the way of living a life that's focused on and pursuing happiness and your passions, you need to take action. While your feelings are important and demand to be felt, they don't have to consume your life, okay? You don't have to be an angry woman. We'll be right back right after this. And we're back. So earlier this week and last week and probably the week before that, just earlier at this point in time, on our Instagram at CampaignHer, we asked you guys to tell us the things that make you angry. What fills you with rage? What are your biggest pet peeves? Because I want us all to understand that, one, the things that make us angry are universal, right? You are not alone in feeling enraged by some of these things that bother you. And two, because then we can all just feel a little bit more closer together. You know, the ultimate goal of the CampaignHer podcast is to feel a little less alone together. And I think nothing is better than that, than bonding over things that we hate. Mutual hatred of the same things. So I just have here a list of the things that you submitted, and I'm just going to read through them and react. So here we go. The first one on here is the president. You guys have absolutely no idea how many times this one popped up in my DMs while we were asking for your anger triggers. And all I'm going to say is vote. Vote this November. Vote in every election. Just please, for the love of God, vote. Next one. People who lack empathy or consideration for others and only think about themselves. Yeah. Yep. Listen, the nicest people can become the most entitled people in an instant and just mask it in being self-assured, right? No, there's a difference between being self-confident and standing up for yourself and being a freaking bully to people whose livelihood depends on adhering to policies designed and passed down from corporate conglomerates, right? It's not 16-year-old Jason making minimum wage at your local Chipotle telling you can't have, guac on your burrito without paying extra, Cheryl. Okay, it's Chipotle. Be nice. I firmly also believe that every human being on this earth needs to work in a service position for at least 3 months, because you don't realize how entitled we can tend to be until someone is an inch from your face, just screaming at you that they spent so much money on their vacation and you are solely responsible for ruining it because you asked them to kindly stop using a trash can as a personal battery RAM. And where are my social media managers at? Okay, my customer service reps. We're getting it too. When I worked for a food and beverage company, I literally had to read a tweet from somebody who told me to kill myself after I informed them that I had shared their feedback with our culinary team when they tweeted that our chicken tenders were too big. Your gift every day, human beings, is waking up and getting to wake up. Okay, don't be a butthead about it. Shit. All right, next one. Clicking pens. You guys. Office etiquette 101. Okay, click it once. And then write what you got to do and then unclick it to put the pen away. Don't be clacking it like my retainer in my mouth. It's also 2020. So let me introduce you to Papermate Flare pens. Okay, all black, assorted colors, whatever you want. They're the best little felt tip beauties. And the only pens I use. And they have caps on them, which means you can't click them. Not sponsored, but just about time you upgrade your pen game. Get you some. This one says, when people try to touch me or get too close in my personal space. And I'm assuming this is a pre-COVID fear, but probably post-COVID too, right? Guys, I gotta be real. I know social distancing lines in our local Targets is a strange byproduct of this wild global pandemic life, but I love it. I love it. I love reminding people that they have to be at least 6 feet away from me. I love it. And my husband, oh my God, Justin hates when people get in his personal space. Like whenever we go to the grocery store together and the people waiting in line behind us at the checkout, just get too close, I feel like I am now responsible for diffusing a fucking bomb. Okay, I would see steam start to rise out of Justin's ears and he'll get really passive aggressive and start saying stuff like, I'd hand you the celery, if I didn't have somebody trying to probe me with it first, and it's so embarrassing and it's so uncomfortable. And I always have to be like, Justin, put the celery down. Put it down. Come over here. Switch places with me. Talk with the nice bag relator. Tell her that we want paper bags because it's better for the environment, okay? And I mean, as women, we're used to men invading our personal space. So we just pepper spray first and apologize later. Ladies, moving on. This one says, drivers who beep for you to make a right turn at a red light when it's impossible to move. Okay, there should be a limit on the amount of times you get to honk your horn. Okay, I used to get this a lot when I drove my little yellow Volkswagen Bug, and it would make me so mad because I know every other fucking car can literally see over me. Okay, riding in a Volkswagen Beetle is the equivalent of like just laying down on the ground. Okay, like you can see what I'm working with here. You can see what's going on ahead of me. You don't need to honk. You think the Toyota Camry 7 cars up is going to do its fucking thing because of your, from a distance honk? No. Hell no. And guys, I've watched too many true crime procedurals, so I like agonize over using my horn. Okay, in my mind, everyone's got a gun and everyone's got road rage. And if I honk my horn, like people are going to come murder me. Like I will literally scream through my car and to the car next to it, like the light is green, you can go now, 100 times before I'll actually honk. And then when I do, it's just like a little like meep, little like meep. I never go like meh, it's a little meep. And then I just wave and I smile at the car so they know I'm nice, and they won't road rage kill me. I'm just like, hi, it's time to go. Sorry about that honk. LOL. Anxiety. Moving on. Okay, this one says, when you work really hard and it goes unnoticed and unacknowledged. Clearly, I surround myself with the right people because this is a big one. My anxiety has caused me to have just a rich tapestry of quirky personality traits, but most notable is got to be my strong work ethic because I have a crippling fear that I'll get fired or disappoint people for something little and I'll leave my family without any money. So this means that I give a lot of myself to my work and that I always do like simply the best, better than all the rest. Okay, like late hours, big presentations, above and beyond on documentation, all that fun stuff. And I got to a point in my corporate career where I was doing this stuff. I was like killing myself for work and I was getting like okay, great, thanks, when I handed stuff over instead of the absolute freaking confetti explosion that I deserve. Or worse, I would hand something over that took me days, weeks, months to, finish. And I'd get like 10,000 edits on it or notes that completely derail the work that I've done or, go off key from the vision that I had worked so hard on. So here's a lesson that I continue to learn the hard way. Your employer, your business partners, your senior leadership, whatever, whoever, they're only ever going to see your final result. They won't see your late nights. They won't see you agonizing over font choices. They won't see, any of that other blood, sweat, and tears you put into it. They will only see what they ask for when you put it in their hands. And I'm not saying dumb your work down, okay? But always set realistic expectations and timelines to make sure that at the forefront, your leaders, partners, senior leadership, whatever, understand what it will take for you to get this done. How many hours, how much working late, exactly how much in milliliters, blood, sweat, tears you'll need to produce, so that when asks like this get bigger, your leader can be a better advocate for you. Right? Like if a deadline means you're going to miss your kid's birthday party because you have to work through the weekend, make sure that your partners know the amount of work they're asking you to do and that it won't get done without you working through the weekend, which is just not possible. When you and your leader are aligned on those resources, and that's resources meaning money, time, energy, like however much resources that it takes for you to do your job, there's less communication about how hard you work to get it done when you got it done on time. When in doubt, say it will take a long time and then overperform, right? Say, oh, this should have taken me a week and a half to do, but I was able to rearrange some priorities and some meetings got canceled and I got it done for you in 4 days. Let's make sure that our partners know that a week is the standard turnaround time for this moving forward. Problem solved. This one just says tags in clothing. Why do they do this to us? Tags are so itchy. Why I need to understand when you buy like something that's like sheer, like if you get like a cute little like, I don't know, like slip dress that has like a cute little sheer like detailed additive on top of it, the tag is always on the sheer part. and not on like your slip. Like, what the fuck? And how is every tag somehow like necessary to the structural integrity of the garment? Like, the minute you cut it out, it freaking like rips a hole in it. What the hell? Do better, clothing people. This one says, when friendships or relationships are taken for granted, one side will sacrifice time, effort, love, and just overall thoughtfulness, while the other will eat it up when it's convenient and be a ghost when they're needed. That shit grinds my gears. I hate when that happens. I feel like at some point I'm going to have to do like a whole episode about adult friendships, because this shit happens far too often. Listen, some people just come into our lives and they meet our needs at that exact moment we need them to, and we meet their needs at that exact moment that they need them to, and then they leave. But I wish we as humans can just be better about breaking up with our friends instead of ghosting them. Like, just tell me you're at a point in your life where you want to hang out with other people and we can have an adult conversation about it. Just tell me that you find me annoying, okay? And we can deal with it. It'll hurt me and it'll keep me awake and it will be a hot topic in therapy for years to come, but I'll get over it, okay? I feel this on like a really deep level nowadays, because when I make really close friends and I invite them into my life and I invite them into my home, like, my kids make a friend too. So I'm always like really cautious from the get-go about who gets to that point where they get to meet my children. And I can handle people being in my life and exiting for whatever reason, but my kids can't. My kids don't understand that. And I have had so many friends where they act like aunts and uncles to my girls, and they're just not in my life anymore. And I had to handle months of my kids asking for these people that they cared about until they ultimately forgot who they are. And then if those people, those friends, God forbid, they come back into my life, awesome. But they've like lost years of the girls' lives, and I'm not going to let them be a part of their lives anymore. You know, like, they have to earn that trust back. And I think for me, because I take this shit like really, really personally, and I get a lot of intrusive thoughts about it. Like, I think that I'm a bad person. I think that I'm a bad friend, that I'm not worthy of real friendships. Like, I have to remind myself that if I wouldn't call this person if my house was on fire, it's not worth my time. If there's something that I'm excited about and I walk on eggshells to tell them or downplay my excitement, it's not worth my time. That relationship is not worth my time. And my mental headspace is like better when I'm not worrying about it. This one says, dog hair. Love them dogs, hate their hairs. Yep. I have a golden retriever named Dipper. He's a beautiful, magnificent, gorgeous, sweet, cuddly idiot. I love him so much. But guys, this morning I had one of his hairs in my nose, because the air in my home now is like 99% dog hair and 1% oxygen. And I sneezed for like 3 hours straight. It was awful. I swear I've eaten as much of Dipper's hair as I've vacuumed up. It's ridiculous. Okay, this one says, when people are rude for no reason. Yes. Hey, everyone has bad days, okay? Everyone has shit in their life, but just be nice. Happiness is as happiness does. Next one. Really big sunglasses. Why so big? Even Elton John is like, whoa, too big. Maybe this is like a bigger the sunglasses, closer to God kind of thing. There are definitely sunglasses that I see people wear, and I'm like, ooh, you're an ask for the manager type. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They're like the big, full circular bug glasses, and they're not like cute designer frames. Like, they're like Walmart brand. And then they have that like haircut that's like soft in the front, like daggers in the back, and you're like, girl, that's a Karen. That's a Karen. Okay, next one. People who doggy ear books, especially when they are library books. So I imagine this is like folding the corner down in a book. And I'm going to like piss off some of my very old friends right now, because I have two very good friends, loves of my life, Lisa and Kate, that absolutely freaking hate this. Their books are like treasured goods. They're in immaculate condition. I envy them for being so careful and cautious and so loving and careful of their books. And so this is definitely an unpopular opinion, but I love a well-loved book. I love a broken spine. I love it when the pages are falling out a little bit. I love it when the pages are worn and there's like little spaghetti sauce on the page, you know, like water warped and like notes in the margins. And I think that's because when my grandma passed away earlier this year, I took a bunch of like these vintage books from our house that she had read, that my Aunt Pamela, who passed a while ago, also read, that my grandfather, who passed when I was 18 read, and I just love having something with their little notes in them. You know, it feels like I'm holding a piece of them. But I would never, ever, 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 ever dog ear a page in someone else's book, especially when that book belongs to people. It belongs to the people when it's a library. It's the people's book. Be nice. Share your things. Okay. People who complain about something in their life but refuse to fix it. This is the worst. Look, I am aware that there is a difference between someone who just wants to vent, right? And somebody who is actually looking for advice. So I always try to do my best to ask the question of like, do you want to vent? Do you just want to talk to me? Do you want my advice? Like, what can I do for you today when I'm like servicing my friendships? But I am a bad person because I give like a 3 complaint maximum about a subject. You know, like you get 3 times to vent to me about your problem. And if you don't ask for advice, if you don't want to hear my opinion, if you don't want to hear my advice when I offer it, then I don't want to hear your problem anymore. Sorry. Especially if it's a fixable problem. Like obviously this does not qualify for people dealing with trauma or people dealing with, you know, big, huge, devastating moments in their lives, right? Like this is for fixable problems. Like I hate pity parties. I hate wallowing in self-misery. I think we all are entitled to some every few minutes, right? Every once in a while. But when there's a simple solution to your problem or your friends want to help you because they know how they can help you and you don't want to take their opinion, sheesh, back off. 3 strikes, you're out. Okay, this one says, when people underestimate me because of my size and how energetic I am. Oh, this one. Or how you dress, right? Or how you express yourself through humor. Or how, I don't know, you are a woman or a person of color or whatever. Personality is not an indicator of how I get my shit done. Okay? I can absolutely school a presentation and may just happen to be wearing a pair of earrings that look like popsicles. Okay? That's how I feel confident. That's how I express myself. And I may be small or plus sized or a little bit more outgoing or introverted or humorous, but fuck you for underestimating me because of that. Moving on. People framing objective facts as opinions. Let me just say, friends, things like the impact of this global pandemic or the reality of climate change, those are facts. Okay, they are not opinions. There is no, let's see both sides of this argument, because there's only one side of the argument backed by credible research experts in science. Okay? People, we're facing a war on information. People inherently don't trust the media or our opinions or each other. And we're not doing each other any favors if we don't state objective facts for exactly what they are. And if you're getting your information from a meme on Facebook that your neighbor Jerry shared, it ain't fact. Do better. Oh, this one says anti-feminists. Hold on, let me just take my earrings off for a minute. Let me just get back up on this soapbox. Okay. Here it comes. Ladies, gentlemen, magical, non-binary unicorn humans. Okay, feminism is the radical notion that women are human. Okay, it is the belief that all people, regardless of gender determination, are worthy of the same rights in the eyes of the law. If you are a woman and you believe you should be paid the same amount of money as your male counterparts with equal experience, equal schooling, and for doing the same amount of work, if you believe society can't get away with making useless, quote unquote, for her products because our delicate feminine minds and hands can only handle things that are pink and pearlescent. If you think every woman's restroom should have at least 3 more stalls in it because we have to always sit down, damn it, you are feminist, honey. Join us. Abolish the patriarchy. We're banishing all men to Man Island where we visit for sex once in a while, okay? I'm kidding, but come on. The goal is that we shouldn't have to work twice as hard for the same opportunities. If you want yourself or your daughters or your nieces or your friends' daughters who feel like daughters or nieces or cousins, if you want them to have the same amount of freaking opportunity as men just as good as them, call out gender inequalities, inadequacies whenever you freaking can. Non-negotiable. Mic drop. That shit cheeses me off. Feminism is not this belief that we are better than men. We are. We are better than men. We are. To the men listening, I love you. You guys are the exception. You're doing so great, sweetie. You're doing so great. Keep being good always to the women in your life. Thank you so much. But no. Okay, no. That makes me so angry. So, okay, I've obviously shared some thoughts. You shared your anger. So what makes me angry? What doesn't? What doesn't make me angry? Let's go through this. When people feel the need to make active listening noises on Zoom meetings. Okay, I don't need to hear you go, No, thank you. Hostile work environment, okay? When people chew and smack their gum too loudly. Okay, we had clicking pens on here. If your gum sounds like you're clicking a pen, spit that shit out, okay? How about people who wait until the absolute last minute to merge over, on the highway and will ride on the shoulder before cutting off everyone because God forbid they wait in line like the rest of us. I hope you realize, people who do that you're the reason why the line is long. You are the reason. Mushy vegetables. Vegetables should always be crunchy. There, I said it, okay? When my kids take my decorative signs off my little console table and use them as computers in their bedroom, how dare they? People who don't like anything. Especially people who refuse to like stuff because everyone else likes it. Oh my God, not liking something is not a personality trait, people, okay? Just live your life and be nice. Other people like it, and no one is going to change their minds because you said you don't like it, so just be nice. My God. When people put mayonnaise on sandwiches, oh boy, that one hurts. Mayonnaise. Men who make jokes with my husband like he's whipped because I'm the one who's the primary provider. You want to go? You want to go, Ralph? You think I've let my husband willingly become a kept man? When I would just be absolutely darling at being rich? You want to go? Get the fuck out of here, okay? I'm getting fired up just listening to this shit, guys. I'm so sorry. How about, this is the coup de grace. When people make a gin and tonic without asking me what kind of gin I want, and they use Tanqueray instead of what I actually want, which is Hendrix. Tanqueray is what they use to clean toilets. I said it. It's the aftershave Kevin smacks on his face in Home Alone, okay? It's Hendrix gin or nothing. And don't you dare be putting fucking cucumbers in my gin and tonics. Cucumbers? You think I want to drink a salad? You think I want a salad? No, I want Hendrix. I want tonic. I want a squeeze of lime. Maybe some pink peppercorns in there if you're nasty. Okay? And that seems like a good place to stop. All right, now I want a gin and tonic. We'll be right back. Thank you for listening today. I actually did a little digging and found my preschool picture. And there's no leather jacket clad kiddo, but you can make assumptions as to which of these kids actually has a red tail. So I'll put that guy up on Instagram. But to see pictures from this episode, other pictures from this episode, and to stay up to date with all CampaignHer fun, please follow us on Instagram at @CampaignHer. Guys, in the first few weeks of this podcast, we made it to 100 followers. Huge milestone for me when I sat at 50 for the last 2 years. So thank you for that. If you want more stories and you can't wait until next week, you can visit our blog at CampaignHer.com. Please review and subscribe. I know I keep saying it. Please, 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 please. I've only got a few short weeks to try and make it on the new and noteworthy segments of Apple Podcasts. And that's an ultimate goal of mine. Every review and listen counts. Leave a review, send it to your friends, have them leave a review. Please give us 5 stars or more than 4 stars, please. And to support the podcast further, you can buy stickers now available on Etsy. And now we have really cute new ones that say, "You're doing great, sweetie," that are included with every single order. So when you purchase 2 or more stickers, we'll give you that one for free. Just use coupon code podcast at checkout on Etsy. New episodes drop every Thursday. Until then, you're doing great, sweetie. Bye.